Growing up having played the original Doom games, I, like a lot of other people, really loved Doom 2016. In fact, it pretty quickly secured a spot on my top 5 favorite games of all time. It was so visceral, so frantic, and all around just plain old fun. So needless to say, I was pretty flippin' hyped for its sequel, Doom Eternal, which came out this past Friday. So after nearly 4 years of anticipation, did the game live up to expectations? Spoiler alert, yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. Not perfect, but pretty dang close. id Software founder and general computer whiz John Carmack once said about stories in video games, quote, "Story in a game is like a story in a porn movie. It's expected to be there, but it's not that important." And Doom Eternal, just like the older Doom games, pretty much sticks to this mentality. Taking place an indeterminate amount of time after Doom 2016, we once again step into the boots of the Doom Slayer, the nameless, mostly faceless space marine with a talent for blowing up demons and some serious anger management issues. This time he is off on a blood-soaked adventure to try to stop a demonic invasion of Earth itself. It's a rather classic video game premise straight out of 1994, which is actually a pretty accurate statement in this case, since it is literally the same premise as the one from Doom 2, which came out in 1994. This time though, the story is a bit more fleshed out, with the Slayer setting up to take out a trio of Hellspawn higher-ups, the Hell Priests, which leads him down a rabbit hole that reveals even bigger threats, and even a little bit about the Slayer's origin. Yeah, you learn a little bit about who the Doom Slayer is. That's kinda mind-blowing, isn't it? Of course, you can just choose to ignore most of that and still get more than your money's worth out of the game, as most of the deeper lore in this game is presented to you in the form of codex entries. It isn't exactly in your face, which is good, because you'll be busy having a bunch of demons in your face instead. The gameplay is pretty much what you would expect from an old-school Twitch shooter like Doom. Only in this case, its mechanics are fine-tuned to the point that it is beyond anything we've ever seen before. Obviously, the gameplay largely consists of running around like a madman on speed and shooting things in the face with a slew of fun and interesting weapons. But there is a bit more to it than that. See, each different demon that you encounter in the game has its own weaknesses and strategies for taking advantage of said weakness. They can range from being able to blow up an Arachnotron's main cannon using a well-placed sticky grenade shot, to the armor of a cyber mancubus being able to be completely taken out in one fell swoop with a single powered-up melee hit. Of course, for the most part, if you're playing on the lower difficulties, you can largely ignore this and just spray ammo downrange at the demons and watch them explode into nice, meaty chunks, which is incredibly satisfying. You can do that on the higher difficulties as well, but it won't be as easy for you. Plus, you'll probably run out of ammo super quick. Unlike Doom 2016, there isn't a ton of spare ammo just lying around the environments. Of course, you still have the chainsaw, allowing you to turn enemies into ammo-filled piñatas. But at the beginning of the game, it can still be pretty rough when you don't have a lot of weapons to switch to help mitigate the lack of ammo. Helping you with your combat encounters, though, are a handful of awesome movement abilities that enhance the already frantic action. Double jumping was in Doom 2016, and it makes a return here. But we also get a hold of the ability to dash both on the ground and in midair. Oh, and platforming is also a thing that exists in the game. Normally, I personally hate first-person platforming in games, but here it's fine. No complaints, but it's not exactly what I play the game for. Enemies-wise, pretty much all of the demons from Doom 2016 return, with a few notable new ones. The Archvile makes his modern return, and is just as much of a pain in the ass as ever. And then there is the Marauder. This piece of crap is the only thing about the game that I outwardly despise. It's like an enemy from Dark Souls got lost on his way to the next game in that series and stumbled his way into Doom. Where most demons can be dealt with in a few different ways, if you don't fight a Marauder exactly the way that you're intended to, you'll probably get slaughtered. Look, I get having difficult enemies, but these guys were just not fun at all to fight. And it's not a question of just, get good, scrub, because I could handle them, I just never really enjoyed the experience. Outside of that one enemy though, the other demons were all incredibly fun to face off against, and combined with the stellar gunplay, the game is an absolute blast. On the surface, Doom Eternal isn't all that much of a visual improvement over Doom 2016, but that doesn't mean that it isn't a fantastic looking game. The environments are actually quite breathtaking at times, showing us a world that looks like the one that we know, only twisted and corrupted by the forces of hell itself. And the enemy models are always fun to look at, with many of them accurately recreating the original Doom designs, trading out the pixels for polygons. Not to mention, when you blow them to chunks, that gore just looks great. Jibbing has never looked this good. And of course, I gotta at least mention the music, done once again by Mick Gordon. Gordon's work on Doom 2016 was absolutely amazing, with industrial sounds mixed perfectly with some of the most metal-sounding instrumentals I've ever heard in a video game. Some of the songs from Doom 2016 are still on my workout playlist. And for Doom Eternal, he really raised the bar, working in everything from more ambient sounds, a choir made up of vocalists from metal bands, to even what sounds like some freaking Mongolian throat singing. It's all amazing stuff. Even if you don't play the game, at least check out the soundtrack. There's some real bangers on there. Doom Eternal is, in my humble opinion, an absolute must-play game, especially if you're a fan of old-school PC shooters like previous id Software games. The gameplay is incredible, the music astounding, and overall it is just an amazing game. Easily the best game I've played so far this year. I'd recommend checking it out on PC if you can, since that's pretty obviously the way it should be played, because you know, PC Master Race and all that. But if all you've got is a console, don't hesitate to grab it regardless. So go forth and rip and tear until it is done. Have you played Doom Eternal? If so, what do you think of the game? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and while you're down there, why not consider subscribing to the collective for more awesome content just like this. Oh, and ring that bell thingy, it really helps us out. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.